The storm was already waiting before dawn, pacing like a restless beast beyond the cliffs. The torches along the gate hissed and died one by one as the lord of the keep mounted his steed. The caretaker stood at the gate, hands folded, face calm as moonlit stone. "Forget me," she said. No plea, no sorrow, only a strange command that hollowed the air. The wind swallowed her words, carrying them into the trembling woods beyond the wall. He turned once, glimpsing her figure through the drizzle, motionless, framed by the heavy doors of Hollow Keep. Yet, something in the air whispered that she had never truly stood there at all. Who, then, had spoken if her shadow did not move? And why did the mirror on his saddle reflect two faces instead of one? The road wound through the moors like a scar beneath the gray morning. He kept his hood low, the scent of salt and ash thick upon the wind. Behind him the keep shrank into mist, yet the echo of her words clung like a chill upon his chest. Forget me. He wondered if he ever truly knew who she was, or if she had stepped from the same silence that had long ruled Hollow Keep. Every hoofbeat seemed to answer her command, a rhythm that whispered, "Forget, forget," until even his own name felt foreign. By midday, the storm lessened, but the silence it left was heavier than thunder. He passed the shrine stone where villagers once laid offerings. Now only moss clung to its cracked face. He dismounted, brushing his hand across its surface. The air felt colder near it, as though the stone itself remembered. He looked toward the horizon, unsure if the faint figure in the distance was a traveler, or something waiting for him to look away. Night fell faster than it should have. The Lord reached the edge of the forest, where the road split into two silent paths. He felt the weight of unseen eyes in the trees. Somewhere behind him, wood creaked. The sound of the keep's gate, though it was miles away. He turned sharply, but only shadows moved. He whispered her words again, testing them, fearing them. "Forget me." The forest gave no answer, only a slow sigh like breath drawn through teeth. At last he reached the village inn, its windows glowing faintly with candlelight. The innkeeper said little when he entered, only glanced toward the empty chair near the hearth and muttered, "You left her there, didn't you?" The Lord froze, every word hanging in smoke. He turned toward the mirror behind the bar, and for a fleeting moment, her reflection stood beside his, calm and watching, just as before the gate. Then the mirror's surface rippled like water, and she was gone. Days passed beneath skies the color of old iron. The Lord lingered at the royal court, yet his thoughts remained chained to Hollow Keep. Then, one evening, a monk arrived, robes heavy with rain. Without a word, he handed the Lord a sealed parchment, her handwriting unmistakable. The wax bore the crest of the keep, though no one had used it in years. The letter inside was brief. "The halls breathe when I walk. The fire hums when I sleep. Something remembers me." His hand trembled as he read. The monk bowed low, but when he looked up again, the man was gone. Only the parchment remained, damp and cold as skin. That night, sleep refused him. He read the letter again and again, tracing each stroke of ink until the words blurred. He could still hear her voice, soft, detached, as if carried from another world. He wondered if the keep truly lived, if its stones were filled with the breath of those it had buried. He thought of her alone in those endless halls, whispering to walls that might whisper back. What if she had never been speaking to him at all? At dawn, another letter arrived, delivered by no one. It rested upon his breakfast table, dry and untouched by dew. This time, the script trembled. "The keep dreams now. The mirrors no longer reflect me. I think it remembers your name." He stared at the words until the ink seemed to move, forming shapes like eyes. He rose in haste, calling for his horse, but his voice faltered before it reached the door. The chill in the room whispered of unseen presence. He rode back toward Hollow, Keep through the waking fog, the road seeming longer than before. The land looked older, drained of color, as though the world itself had faded during his absence. Every milestone he passed bore faint carvings he did not remember, strange runes that twisted when his eyes lingered too long. The wind carried faint laughter, or cries. He could no longer tell the difference. By dusk, he reached the hill overlooking Hollow Keep. The torches along its walls burned weakly, though no hand should have lit them. The sea below roared against the cliffs. He unfolded the final letter he had found tied to his saddle, its ink still wet. Do not return. The keep remembers enough for us both. His breath caught as he looked toward the fortress windows. One flickered, then another. And there, in the tallest tower, a lone figure watched him from behind the glass. The gates of Hollow Keep creaked open under his hand, though no guards came forth to greet him. The courtyard lay silent, except for the whisper of wind through ivy. He dismounted, boots sinking into wet mud where no tracks remained. Inside the hall, the hearth burned faintly, as if tended only moments before. Her chair stood beside it, the cup half filled, the air still warm from her presence. Yet the keep felt hollow, a body breathing without a soul. The shadows stretched long against the stone, and for the first time he felt the weight of eyes that were not his own. He entered the hall slowly, sword drawn. The silence trembled beneath his breath. Her shawl lay folded on the chair, still warm to the touch. The cup by the fire steamed faintly, yet no ember stirred. A faint humming came from the upper stairs, the tune she once sang while sweeping the gallery. He followed, each step echoing like a heartbeat through the stone. When he reached the landing, the sound stopped, replaced by the slow creak of a door closing on its own. Upstairs, the rooms were untouched, yet filled with her presence. In her quarters, the candles burned low, though no one had lit them. Her handwriting covered the walls, lines of ink scrawled like confessions. The walls breathe when I sleep. The mirrors no longer remember me. His pulse quickened as he touched the parchment scraps scattered on the floor, each one bearing his name written in trembling strokes. Do not follow. A sudden crash echoed from below, the main door slamming shut. He ran to the staircase, shouting her name, but his voice seemed swallowed by the air itself. Downstairs, the fire had gone out, leaving the hall in blue shadow. Only the mirror near the hearth still caught light. He approached, heart pounding, and there, her reflection appeared. She stood behind him, eyes hollow and still, whispering words he could not hear. When he turned, the space was empty. Only her cup rolled softly on the table, coming to rest upright. Before dawn, he searched every tower, every cellar, every hidden stair. The keep gave no answer. Yet as the first light touched the ramparts, he saw the stable door swinging open and his horse already saddled. A single parchment rested on the saddle. The keep remembers too much. He turned toward the mirror in the stable wall and saw her again, faintly smiling, then fading like breath upon glass. He called her name once more, but the echo that returned was not hers. It was his own, hollow and lost. The keep no longer felt abandoned. It breathed. The wind no longer came from the sea, but from the corridors themselves, whispering through cracks and keyholes. He moved through the dark, like a man trespassing inside his own soul. Each room echoed his footsteps a heartbeat too late. When he passed the old tapestry by the stair, it swayed gently, as though brushed by a hidden hand. Somewhere deep within the stone, he heard her voice, faint and calm, calling his name. Yet it came not from above nor below, but from every wall at once. He descended to the lower hall, where the stones were slick with age. The sound of dripping water echoed through the vaults. Upon the wall he saw a faint glow, letters forming in thin lines of light. He approached, breath trembling, and saw her words appearing anew. I am beneath. The glow faded, leaving only cold stone. A door he had never noticed before stood ajar. Its hinges rusted yet recently moved. He felt the air draw inward, like the keep itself was waiting for him to follow. The passage beyond was narrow and low, carved deep into the earth. The walls bore marks of old tools and the smell of salt. The deeper he went, the louder the heartbeat of the sea against the cliffs grew, echoing through the tunnels. He lifted his torch high, and there, etched in the rock, were faces, hundreds of them, carved into the stone, eyes closed in silent prayer. In the wavering light, some seemed to breathe. He realized each face bore a trace of hers, repeating endlessly into the dark. At the tunnel's end stood a chamber shaped like a circle of mirrors, their surfaces tarnished and cracked. His reflection multiplied into countless shadows, each one moving slightly slower than him. When he spoke, the echoes answered before his words left his mouth. Then, amid those reflections, hers appeared again. She faced him from the farthest mirror, lips parted in silent plea. The torch dimmed as her reflection stepped forward, though no figure crossed the floor. His breath caught when her eyes aligned with his own and whispered inside his head, "Remember nothing." When he awoke, he was lying at the base of the stair, the torch extinguished. No mirror chamber remained, only stone and dripping moss. Yet his hands were blackened with soot, and faint glass dust glimmered on his sleeve. The air felt heavier now, thick with whispers that pulsed in rhythm with his heart. He rose unsteadily, knowing the keep no longer obeyed time or reason. As he turned toward the stairs, the voice came again. Closer this time, gentler yet burdened with grief. "Do not free me." The days bled together like spilled ink. The Lord no longer marked the hours by sun or bell, but by the pulse of the keep itself. The walls now whispered names in the dark, names he did not remember, yet somehow knew. Deep in the library, dust thick upon every page, he found an iron-bound ledger. The writing within trembled with age, chronicling every soul who had served the keep. The final entry bore her name, written in his own hand. His breath faltered as he read the date beside it. 20 years passed. He tore through the records like a man possessed. Behind the shelves, hidden beneath cracked mortar, he found older ledgers, centuries old. Each told of a woman who served the keep, each burned at the stake for witchcraft, each sharing the same face in the sketches drawn by trembling scribes, the same gray eyes, the same calm smile, the same final words recorded again and again, "Forget me." His heart pounded in his ears. This was not a curse placed upon her. It was a plea repeated through time. As the storm outside rose once more, he climbed to the tallest tower, the one from which she was last seen. The room was empty but for a circle of salt on the floor and a single candle burned to its base. Upon the wall, faint scorch marks shaped like wings reached upward. He realized then that she had not vanished. She had been consumed by the keep's memory, trapped in its endless reflection of sorrow. And he was the one who had bound her to it long ago, when grief had made him blind. The keep trembled as thunder shook its foundations. He fell to his knees, clutching the salt circle, calling her name into the storm. The candle flared back to life, though no flame touched it. The air shimmered, and she appeared, faint as breath, her eyes soft with sorrow. "You kept me here." Her voice echoed, not in rage but sadness. "You made me memory." His tears fell onto the salt, breaking its line. The tower wind howled as her figure flickered, bound between being and nothing. He reached for her hand, but his fingers met only air. "Then free you," he whispered. Her expression softened, though sorrow lingered like fog. "Not by remembrance," she said, "but by forgetting." The wind died as silence filled the room. Her image faded into light, leaving behind the scent of rain and the faint warmth of touch. When he looked to the mirror, his reflection stood alone once more. But upon the wall behind it, new words had appeared, written in his own hand. "The keep forgets." The next night fell without stars. The keep slept beneath a sky of iron, yet within its walls, the air still breathed her name. The Lord wandered through corridors that now felt like veins of some vast creature. Every whisper, every flicker of light seemed to move with purpose. He reached the great hall where the mirror still stood. It shimmered faintly, rippling like disturbed water. Her voice drifted from within, soft, sorrowful, and near. "You cannot hold what the keep remembers," it said, "nor escape what it refuses to forget." He approached the mirror, blade drawn. "If memory binds you, I will shatter it," he said, voice trembling. The reflection shifted, her face emerging through his own. The caretaker looked at him with weary tenderness. "It is not the mirror that holds me," she whispered. "It is you." The surface of the glass glowed with the color of dawn, though no sun shone beyond the walls. His hand shook as he raised his sword, torn between salvation and sin. He struck. The blade cut through the air and into the mirror's heart. It did not shatter. It sang. A deep, resonant tone filled the hall as light poured from the crack. The reflection fractured into 1,000 faces, hers, his, and strangers unknown, all calling in unison. The floor trembled. Wind roared through unseen doors. The keep groaned as though awakening. In the storm of glass and memory, her form stepped through the splintered surface, real and trembling, eyes full of light and tears. The keep wailed like a living thing. The walls quaked, and dust fell from the rafters. She knelt before him, trembling. "You should have let me go," she said, voice breaking. "I am what the keep made of your grief." He dropped his sword, eyes hollow. "Then I will unmake it." He reached to touch her hand, solid, warm. But when their palms met, pain tore through him like fire. The keep screamed again, and the air filled with the scent of burning memory. Not souls. Light burst from their joined hands, searing white and silent. The storm outside ceased. The keep exhaled a final breath. When the light dimmed, only he remained, kneeling amid ruins of stone and glass. The mirror lay shattered, its pieces reflecting nothing at all. The air felt empty. The whispers gone. He whispered her words once more. "Forget me." And the echo faded before it reached the walls. For the first time, Hollow Keep was truly silent. Dawn rose cold and hollow. The keep stood quiet beneath a pale sky, its stones still glistening from the night's storm. The Lord walked the empty corridors, every echo now his alone. The air smelled of damp ashes and sea salt. In the hall, the hearth burned weakly, though no one had tended it. He gathered the scattered pages, the ledgers, the letters, all that bore her name. For each he whispered her words, "Forget me," before tossing them into the fire. The parchment curled, the ink bled, and her memory began to fade like smoke through broken glass. He moved from room to room, burning what the keep had once remembered. The portraits on the walls faded first, their colors dissolving into dust. Then the whispers ceased altogether. Even his own voice seemed foreign now, his name less certain with every breath. He walked the battlements overlooking the sea, where the gulls cried without memory of the storm. The horizon stretched endless and gray, indifferent to his loss. The keep's silence felt neither cruel nor kind, only complete. At the edge of the courtyard, he found the monk who had once brought the first letter. The man stood quietly beside a ruined arch, holding no scripture, only silence. "What remains when all memory burns?" the Lord asked. The monk's gaze held neither pity nor judgment. "Peace," he said simply. "And peace is a lonely thing." The Lord nodded, feeling the truth like a weight he could finally bear. When he looked again, the monk was gone, leaving only footprints that led nowhere. He returned to the tower once more. The salt circle was gone. The scorch marks faded, and the mirror lay in fragments at his feet. He knelt, touching one piece, the last remnant of her reflection. For an instant, light stirred within it, faint and golden. A whisper rose, so soft it could have been the wind. Thank you. He smiled, the smallest he had ever known, and let the shard fall from his hand. It shattered to dust. The keep sighed, and sunlight filled the room. As he rode from Hollow Keep for the final time, the sea shimmered calm and endless below. Behind him, the fortress seemed smaller, quieter, no longer haunted, only forgotten. He did not look back. The world ahead was colorless yet new, like parchment waiting for ink. The wind carried no voices now, only the steady beat of his horse hoofs upon the road. In his saddle mirror, there was no second reflection, only the sky, and beneath that silence, a peace deeper than memory itself.